The night he said, "I love you," he also texted another woman, "Can't wait to taste you." Out, he had 3 pregnant girlfriends on my insurance. He blocked me, smirked, said I'd be back. So I created a group chat with all the girls and then watched him burn. I was sitting on the floor of my apartment in Phoenix, still wearing the stupid little dress I'd put on because he told me he had a surprise planned after dinner. My phone buzzed, and for 1 second I thought he was sending something sweet. Instead, I saw the words that made my whole body go cold. "Can't wait to taste you again." At first I froze. I stared at the screen like maybe it would rearrange itself into something harmless. A joke, a typo, anything. Then the typing bubbles popped up again, and before I could react, another message came through. "Be ready this time." He sent it to me, but it wasn't for me. And the worst part, this happened literally 4 hours after he looked me in my eyes, held my face in his hands, and whispered, "I love you. I think you're my forever." My stomach twisted so fast I almost threw up. I called him. He answered on the second ring like nothing was wrong. When I read the messages back to him, he didn't even hesitate, he laughed. Actually laughed. Then he said, "Relax, you're too emotional. And honestly, you're kinda too dumb to matter in all this." I remember gripping the phone so tight my hand shook. "Who is she?" I asked. "Who cares?" he said. "Every man cheats, get over it." Then he hung up. I sat there, shaking, replaying every month of us living together, every bill we shared, every conversation about building a future. Every time he told me I was safe with him, I felt like something hollow had been carved out inside me. I didn't know yet that the text was just the first crack. The next morning, when I tried to log into our joint financial app, something we used to split rent and utilities, I got an error. Locked out. Same thing with our shared digital file for insurance documents. Password changed. Access removed. He didn't even warn me, he just cut me out like I was a stranger. When I finally reached him through a different number, he sighed like I was interrupting his day. "You'll be back," he said. "You always are." Then he blocked that number too. That was the moment I realized something deeper was going on. The way he sounded so calm, so practiced, like he had done this before, like he had a script ready. And then, this part still feels unreal. I got a call from my insurance provider asking to confirm prenatal coverage for an appointment I hadn't scheduled. When I said I wasn't pregnant, the rep got very quiet. She double-checked the notes. 3 different women, 3 active prenatal profiles, all using my plan, all listed under partner authorization. My chest actually burned. He didn't just cheat, he didn't just lie, he used me. Used my job benefits. Used my stability. Used my trust like a credit card he could max out. And these women, they weren't random hookups. They were girlfriends, as in plural, as in 3 pregnant girlfriends. I felt something sharp and cold settle inside me as I stared at the list of appointment dates. It wasn't heartbreak anymore. It wasn't even anger. It was focus. If he thought blocking me and cutting me out would force me to crawl back, he had no idea who he was dealing with. So I found each woman. I tracked them down. I introduced myself. And then I created a group chat with all of them, and that was when everything truly blew open. Before all this blew up, my life with him looked normal from the outside. Boring, even. We lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment in North Phoenix, close enough to the freeway that you'd hear traffic all night, but cheap enough that we convinced ourselves it was cozy. I worked full-time at a medical office, the kind of steady job with good benefits. Benefits I thought we would share responsibly. He worked contract jobs, which basically meant he bounced between gigs and made just enough to look busy. When we first met, he charmed me fast. He had that easy confidence some men use like a weapon without ever saying a threatening word. He'd look you straight in the eyes and make you feel like you mattered, like you were the only person in the room. I'd been through a rough breakup a year before, and I won't lie, I was vulnerable. He walked right into that crack in my life and settled there. The early months were sweet. He cooked for me, cleaned sometimes, left handwritten notes. He had this soft way of touching my back when we walked into places together, like he was grounding me. My friends told me he seemed almost too perfect, but I brushed it off. I wanted to believe I'd finally picked someone who wouldn't hurt me. We moved in together after 6 months. He said it would help him get stable. He talked about wanting to save for a house. He even told my mom he planned on proposing someday. Looking back, I feel stupid for how much I believed him, but at the time it felt like I was finally building something good. And then the little things started. He'd disappear for a few hours without explaining where he went. He'd say his phone died or he lost track of time. He started criticizing me in subtle ways: how I talked, how I dressed, how I spent money. He called it helping me improve, but it chipped at me slowly. There were nights he'd come home smelling faintly like perfume I didn't own. Nights he'd shower immediately, claiming he was just sweaty from work. He'd turn his phone upside down on the table, sleep with it under the pillow, laugh when I asked basic questions, and say I was being dramatic. I trusted him longer than I should have, and I'd be lying if I said I understood why. Maybe it was because I wanted stability so badly that I ignored every sign he wasn't capable of giving it. Maybe it was because he was so good at apologizing, this soft voice, this practiced sadness. He could look at me and make me feel like I was overreacting even when he was obviously lying. About 2 months before everything blew up, he started pushing for me to add him to my insurance plan just for safety. He said being uninsured made him anxious. I didn't think twice. I updated the forms at work and logged his info in. He kissed me afterward and said, "You're the only person who makes life make sense." Now I know that was the moment he realized I was valuable in a very different way than I thought. Around that same time, he became more distant. Not mean, just checked out. He'd leave random mornings. He'd come home exhausted but weirdly energized. He'd take long showers and hum to himself in a way that didn't sound tired at all. At the time, I blamed stress. I blamed myself. I blamed work. I never once blamed him. Not until the night he said, "I love you," then accidentally texted me something that shattered the whole illusion. And once I confronted him, and he mocked me, the pieces finally started falling into place. But the real shock came when I reached out to the women he'd been seeing, and learned exactly who they thought he was. Finding the other women wasn't some master plan at first. It was survival. When the insurance rep told me there were 3 active prenatal profiles tied to my plan, something inside me snapped. Not loudly, quietly. The kind of snap where the world goes still, and you suddenly see everything with uncomfortable clarity. I asked for the names on the appointments. The rep wasn't supposed to tell me, but she slipped, maybe because she heard the crack in my voice. Maybe because she was just human. Either way, I left that call with 3 names: Alyssa, Jordan, and Maria. I started searching. Alyssa was the easiest. Her Facebook was public. Cute, bright smile, worked at a nail salon in Tempe, the kind of woman who posted inspirational quotes with pink backgrounds. Her most recent picture was her holding her small baby bump while a man stood behind her, hands on her belly, face cropped out. But I knew that silhouette. The forearms, the stance, it was him, my breath caught. Next was Jordan. She had a lockdown Instagram but one tagged photo, her at a bar in Scottsdale with a group of friends. And there, he was again in the background of another photo from the same night, sitting at the bar with his arm around her waist. I felt sick. Maria took the longest to find, but eventually I matched her name with a scheduling system from a clinic I recognized from work. When I found her Instagram, she had a full maternity photo shoot already posted. Soft desert lighting, flowy dress, hands on her stomach. She captioned it, "22 weeks, Dad is already obsessed." He was in the comments, every heart emoji, every our baby, every lie. The more I scrolled, the more my hands shook, not from grief anymore, but from that cold focus that had taken over. For each woman, the timelines overlapped with mine, not just by a little, by months, years in one case. He didn't just cheat, he built entire fake futures, parallel lives, promises copied and pasted. I could practically hear him saying the same lines he said to me, like a script he'd perfected. I spent that whole night awake, heart racing, mind spinning, rereading their posts, their captions, their comments, imagining each of them believing the same lies I once did. Believing he loved them. Believing he was theirs. At one point, I just sat there staring at the wall, realizing how small I'd made my world to fit him in it. Realizing how much he'd taken advantage of my stability while juggling these other women like some sick hobby. By sunrise, I knew I couldn't keep this to myself. If these women were tied to my insurance, then he was actively using me as a financial shield while pretending to be a loving father-to-be in 3 separate households. I created the group chat at 7:14 am. I titled it, "You Deserve the Truth." At first, I stared at the empty chat window, fingers hovering over the keyboard. I didn't want to hurt them. I didn't want to come off like I was attacking them. I just wanted them to know. I wanted all of us to stop living in his lie, so I dropped the screenshots, the insurance records, his texts to me, and the picture of him and me from a month earlier, the one where he kissed my forehead and told me he couldn't wait for our next chapter. Then I typed, "He's dating all of us. He's been using my insurance to cover your prenatal care. I'm not blaming any of you. I just thought you deserved to know." I hit send. The first response came less than 2 minutes later. Then another. Then another. And what those women revealed, that was the moment everything truly started to unravel. The group chat blew up so fast my phone actually froze for a second. At 7:16 a.m., the first message came from Alyssa. "OMG, OMG, wait, he just left my apartment." My stomach flipped. Then Jordan jumped in. "He told me he was on a job site overnight. He said he'd call when he woke up." And then Maria, "I don't understand. He lives with me. He left for work an hour ago." Lives, with her. I had to read the message 3 times. My throat tightened, and for a second I genuinely thought I might pass out. Before I could type anything back, Maria sent a photo. Their bedroom. Her bed, unmistakably a woman's bed, with rose-colored sheets and a throw blanket I'd seen in one of her maternity posts. And there, on her nightstand, was something that made my hands go numb. His watch. The one he told me he lost. The one he blamed me for probably throwing out while cleaning. The one he had sworn I owed him money for. I had argued with him about that watch for weeks. He made me feel guilty. He made me apologize. But there it was, sitting next to a half-full glass of water like it lived there. Something inside me cracked open. Alyssa started messaging again, rapid fire. "He told me I'm the only one. He said he left his ex months ago. Oh my God, I'm shaking. I'm really pregnant with his kid." Then Jordan, "He told me I'm the reason he believes in family again. I feel sick." Then Maria again. "He said he was divorced. He said he hasn't lived with anyone in years." Divorced? Years. My breathing got shallow as the pieces rearranged themselves into something uglier than I had even imagined. Because here was the thing, he had never mentioned living with another woman. Not once. Not even a suspicion. He told me his last relationship ended, forever ago, and that they were toxic together. But Maria's next message knocked the ground out from under me completely. "We've been together for 6 years." 6 years. I felt the back of my neck go cold. I didn't type anything for a long beat. None of us did. And then she dropped the real bomb. "And we're engaged." A screenshot followed, him on one knee in front of South Mountain, holding a ring I recognized instantly, because I had seen it hidden in his sock drawer 2 months ago. When I asked about it, he said it was a family keepsake he was getting repaired. He proposed to her with it. And while he was engaged to Maria, he was telling me he saw a future with me. Telling Jordan she was his new beginning. Telling Alyssa she was his fresh start. 4 women, 3 pregnancies, 1 engagement, 1 shared apartment with me, 1 entire secret life with her. I wanted to scream, but my body was too stunned. Maria's final message came slowly, 1 typed bubble at a time. He told me he deleted all his social media because he didn't want other women messaging him. I thought he was being loyal. He told me the same thing, and Alyssa, and Jordan. He wasn't deleting apps. He was rotating phones. He was segmenting our lives like a man running scams. Then Jordan wrote something that made everything inside me seize. "I think he's lying about his name. Look at this." She uploaded a photo of his driver's license. The name on it wasn't the one I knew, wasn't the one any of us knew. We had no idea who the hell we were dealing with. When Jordan sent the photo of his driver's license, the group chat went dead silent. Not one of us breathed for a good 30 seconds. The name on it wasn't his name. Not even close. Everything about him, every story, every detail, every fact he fed each of us, was suddenly up for questioning. And the worst part, none of us knew which parts were lies and which parts he used just to get deeper under our skin. I stared at that license photo until my eyes burned. My brain kept trying to reject it, like maybe it was fake, maybe Jordan was wrong, maybe this was a misunderstanding so massive it felt like a tornado in my chest. But deep down, I knew the truth. He'd been building separate realities, giving each of us a version of himself that fit exactly what we needed. And he kept all of us divided so none of us could compare notes. Until now, And now he was exposed. Alyssa typed first, "What do we do?" There was a tremble in her words, even through the screen. Then Jordan. "He can't just get away with this. This is illegal." Then Maria. "My baby, his last name, our finances, our lease, everything in my life has him in it." Her panic hit something in me. Because even though he didn't live with me, he had his claws in my world too. My insurance, my accounts, my apartment, my trust. And the idea of him doing this to 3 pregnant women made my stomach drop. I typed slowly. "We're not going to fight each other. We're going to fight him." You know that quiet moment where anger stops burning and instead turns into steel? That's what hit me. The hurt didn't go away, but it hardened into something colder, sharper, cleaner. We were going to burn down his entire web. Every lie, every trick, every financial thread he stitched into our lives. And we were going to do it together. So I started laying out a plan. First step, documentation. Screenshots of everything. Texts, photos, insurance logs, appointment records, his fake name, his real one, every alias, every timestamp, every receipt he used under my plan. Every message he sent each of us claiming we were the only one. Second step, track his logistics. We mapped where he spent nights, his job sites, his car, his fake schedules. We realized he rotated each of us on a 3-day cycle, sometimes overlapping when he claimed to have overnight work gigs. He was basically running a 4-woman circuit. Third step, unify the timelines. We pieced together the dates he spent with each of us. We discovered he occasionally left Maria's home at 2 a.m., drove to my place to surprise me, then went to Jordan's the next day saying he had been working late. Meanwhile, he was taking Alyssa to prenatal appointments he claimed were doctor checkups for his back. Every time we filled another gap in the timeline, the rage in that chat thickened. Fourth step, hit him where it hurts. Not physically, not illegally, but strategically. We needed leverage, social, financial, and legal. And once we pooled everything we had, we realized we weren't just dealing with cheating. We were dealing with insurance fraud, identity manipulation, and multiple deceptions across state-recorded medical files. He wasn't just scummy. He was reckless on a level that left a paper trail a mile long. And the more we dug, the more one thought kept flashing in my mind. He thought none of us were smart enough to compare notes. He thought he could isolate us forever. He thought he'd never get caught. He was wrong. But right as we were building the perfect coordinated retaliation plan, right when everything was lining up, Maria sent a message that derailed the entire operation. Just 7 words. "You guys, I think I found his wife." When Maria dropped the message, "You guys, I think I found his wife." The entire group chat stopped breathing. I felt it in my chest, this weird sharp pressure, like the air got heavier. It didn't make sense. A fiancé was bad enough. Multiple girlfriends was insane. Pregnancies, lies, my insurance already unhinged. But a wife, a legal wife, my fingers shook as I typed. "What do you mean wife?" Maria didn't answer right away. Instead, she sent a link, an Instagram profile that was almost painfully normal. A woman in her mid-30s, living in a tan stucco house in Gilbert, posting pictures of her dogs, her garden, her coffee cups, her running shoes. Sweet, quiet life vibes. Then she posted a photo that made my skin crawl, her wedding picture. Her husband's face was blurred. She was one of those people who didn't post her partner online for privacy. But the outline of his body was unmistakable. The jaw, the shoulders, the stance, I knew that silhouette like I knew my own reflection. Then Maria sent another screenshot. A picture tagged at a neighborhood block party. He was half turned away, holding a plate of food. Not blurred, not hidden. Clear as day, it was him. Alyssa started typing in all caps. "RUF asterisking kidding me, Jordan. He's married." My hands were sweating. I could feel my heartbeat everywhere, in my teeth, in my palms, in my throat. And then the next twist hit. Maria, still quiet, still typing carefully, sent another screenshot. This time from the county marriage records website. There it was. His real name, his real date of birth, and next to it, spouse, Rebecca, the same woman from the Instagram. But underneath that was something none of us saw coming. Marriage date, 8 years ago. 8 years. He had been married longer than he had been with any of us. A warmth rushed to my face, not anger but humiliation, so deep it felt like my bones blushed. I had lived with a man who was married and had no clue. Jordan sent another message, her typing frantic. He told me his ex-wife cheated on him. He cried about it. Alyssa, he said his ex-wife took all his money. Me, he said he never wanted to get married again. Maria, he told me he was divorced. Then the next blow landed when Maria added, "This woman, Rebecca, she lives in a house he pays for." Jordan immediately replied, "He told me his money goes toward debt." Alyssa, "He told me he helps his elderly aunt with her mortgage." And then, like she saved the worst for last, Maria sent a photo from the wife's Facebook. A nursery, freshly painted. Soft cream walls, a crib, a mobile, a caption that read, "Baby girl arriving soon, dad is already smitten." My vision tunneled. A fourth pregnancy, a fourth woman, a wife. The man we were planning revenge against wasn't just cheating. He wasn't just juggling lives. He wasn't just impulsive or reckless. He was running an entire constellation of women, pregnancies, lies, finances, and homes like it was a system he'd perfected. But the message that truly twisted the knife was a quiet one from the wife's profile, posted 2 weeks earlier. A video of him assembling the crib, laughing, smiling, focused. The same hands that held my face. The same mouth that told me he loved me. The same man who used my insurance to fund pregnancies he was creating across the Phoenix metro like he was planting landmines. I felt the nausea rise up my throat. But before any of us could process the insanity of the wife or the fourth baby, something else happened. Something that changed our entire plan. A notification popped into the group chat. A new number joined. We didn't add anyone. We didn't share the link. And then a message appeared. "Why are you all talking about my husband?" We froze. It was his wife. When his wife, Rebecca, appeared in the group chat, none of us typed for a full minute. I swear I could hear blood rushing in my ears. Then she sent another message. "I saw the notifications on his tablet. He left it at home. What is going on?" Maria was the first to respond. Not gentle, not harsh, just honest. "Your husband has been living multiple lives. We're 3 of them, and 2 of us are pregnant by him." Rebecca didn't answer right away. A long, pulsing silence. Then, "That's not possible." But when we sent the screenshots, the texts, the insurance logs, the photos, the timelines, her responses shifted from denial to confusion to horror. Finally, she typed, "I need you all to know something." And what she revealed chilled me in a way nothing else had. She wrote slowly, like she had rehearsed these sentences alone in her head for years. "He does this on purpose. It's not an accident. It's not because he's impulsive. He picks women he thinks he can control." We didn't interrupt. "He finds women who are busy, isolated, or emotionally worn down. Women who won't compare notes. Women with steady jobs, benefits, or ties he can use." Alyssa asked, "Why? Why even juggle so many?" There was a pause then. "Because he wants dependence." I frowned at my screen. She continued, "His mother raised him on government assistance and child support from 3 different men. She used to tell him that kids were leverage, that a woman with his baby would always need him, that as long as he kept a woman tied to him financially, he'd never be alone and never broke." My stomach turned. He grew up believing that creating dependence, women, children, financial connections, was the only way to guarantee he always had housing, money, and people he could manipulate. Jordan typed, "So the pregnancies." Rebecca, "He wants as many as possible. He wants women spread out, all thinking he's their partner, because it keeps them isolated and keeps him in control." Then she added something that made every hair on my arms rise. "He used to talk about it like a system, not a relationship, not love, a system." Alyssa asked, "You knew?" That message sat there like a knife. Rebecca eventually replied, "Not the extent. I knew he had cheated before. I didn't know he was building entire lives." But then she sent the message that froze my lungs. "He told me once that people are easier to manage when they think you're their protector." I felt cold crawl up my spine. Because he said something similar to me once. "You're safe with me. I take care of what's mine." At the time it sounded comforting. Now it sounded like a warning. Rebecca kept going. "He doesn't see us as people. He sees us as resources. He doesn't attach emotionally. He attaches strategically." Jordan, "So he never loved any of us." Rebecca, "He isn't capable of love, only control, only dependence, only leverage." Silence filled the chat, heavy, suffocating. Then Rebecca sent the final blow. "And if you think he'll apologize, he won't. He'll deny everything, blame you, and then look for new women. That's his cycle. It's all he knows." I felt my chest tighten with a cold, steady clarity. This wasn't chaos or confusion. This wasn't immaturity or selfishness. This wasn't even a toxic man juggling too many lies. This was intentional, calculated, replicating a pattern he learned from childhood and weaponized into adulthood. He wasn't messy. He was methodical. And that realization, it didn't break me, it sharpened me. Because now we understood exactly what kind of villain we were dealing with, which meant now we knew exactly how to take him down. Once we understood who he really was, not a confused man, not an overwhelmed man, but a calculating parasite who built a life out of manipulating women, we stopped reacting emotionally. We started moving strategically. The group chat became a war room. Rebecca, his wife, surprised all of us. She wasn't hysterical. She wasn't lashing out. She was quiet, focused, ice-cold in a way only someone who has been silently suffering for years can be. If we're doing this, she wrote, we're doing it clean. And clean meant legal, financial, documented, synchronized. We started by timing everything. Rebecca still had access to his tablet, which synced with his phone. She watched his location, his messages, his calendar. He was in Mesa that day, claiming he was on a drywall job. In reality, he was with Alyssa. She sent a photo from her window, his car outside, his shoes by her door. We decided that would be the last moment he ever blindsided any woman again. At 3:14 p.m., Rebecca changed the locks on their house. At 3:16, I froze his access to every part of my insurance plan. Every appointment canceled. Every authorization revoked. At 3:20, Jordan filed a formal insurance fraud report with documentation linking his real name, his aliases, and the women he'd enrolled under my plan. At 3:23, Alyssa quietly texted him, "We need to talk when you get back." It wasn't bait. It was timing. At 4:02, while he was driving from Alyssa's place to Jordan's, the group chat lit up, Rebecca's update. He just tried to unlock the front door. He can't get in. 4 minutes later, he's calling, I'm not answering. At 4:12, he drove to Jordan's. She didn't open the door either. At 4:25, he tried me. He called from a blocked number, then texted, "You're being dramatic. Come home." Home, my apartment was never home to him. It was a resource. I didn't reply. Instead, I triggered the final step, a coordinated mass message. At 4:30 p.m. sharp, all four of us, me, Jordan, Alyssa, and Rebecca, sent him every piece of evidence we collected. Every timeline, every screenshot, every photo, every pregnancy overlap, every name he gave each of us. His real identity, his fake ones. Then Rebecca sent the final blow. "I filed for divorce today. My family knows everything. You are not welcome here again." A minute later, Alyssa sent hers. "My family knows. Your baby will know the truth. Jordan, the insurance company has your information. Good luck." And me, "You used me. Now the consequences belong to you." For the first time in 2 years, he had no control, no access, no leverage, no homes to run to, no women to hide behind. He tried calling, Rebecca blocked him, then Jordan, then Alyssa, then me. His entire system collapsed in a single coordinated hour. And afterward, silence. Not one of us heard from him again. Weeks later, a letter arrived from my insurance provider confirming the fraud investigation was active. His access remained permanently terminated. He would be financially responsible for every unauthorized charge. Rebecca updated us privately. He moved in with a cousin out of state. No job, no car, no access to the baby's birth, no way back into the life he controlled for 8 years. What we did wasn't revenge in the dramatic movie sense. It was cleaner than that, smarter, measured. We didn't destroy him. We simply removed ourselves and the entire empire of women he built his life on all at once. He fell because we stepped out from under him. And honestly, that fall was long overdue. Witty kicker, turns out I wasn't too dumb to matter. I was the one crack in his system he never saw coming.